So the topic, back with another video. I'm Strange Wing. Today we got a review up. You rather tell you know what we're reviewing. Let's get down to brass tacks. I gave One Night in Miami 9.7 out of 10 wings.
Why? Why?
Because this movie is exactly what I wanted it to be. It's thought-provoking. It has a message. It's meaningful. It has well-directed scenes, phenomenal acting. Everything in this movie works so well together that because it's so thought-provoking, I just spent hours and hours after watching this movie today and thinking about this movie. And one of the thoughts I had was, if this movie was an object, it would be a grandfather clock.
The hell does that mean?
What I mean by that is someone took their hands and their mind and crafted and constructed this beautiful piece of art where if you look on the outside and the wood, it's not only is it beautiful, it holds something, and it holds a grandness, power. It stands for something. It's a symbol of respect, power, these kind of elements that are in this movie. And when you go into the inside, the handcrafting turns into metal objects, and these levers and gears, they turn together and as one. And everything in this movie, like a grandfather clock, relies on another thing so it can work properly. And this film doesn't miss a beat. Everything complements one another, and it just has a beautiful, thought-provoking, powerful message as you watch it. Man, that's because everything in this film is
Perfection.
you have in the writing. So starting with the writing, you have compelling characters. You have compelling arguments, perspectives, and the director doesn't stay on these issues too long because there's so many hot button issues in this. Issues that we see today as Sam Cooke's character. He's a real person, it's not a character, but you know what I mean. Talking about owning his masters. And how back then that was such a foreign concept to people, especially for a black man to own his masters and to pass down that game to others, because that's something that we still see today. I'm very, I won't say involved because I do not rap, but I look at a lot of rap stuff, hip hop, and for years now that's been a big issue. You look at someone like Nas, who's like, Prince said I didn't own my masters, he want to do a song with me, to all the way up to the Young Money ownership now of Lil Wayne selling Nicki's and Drake's masters. So it's like so many powerful elements came from these four black celebrities that we've seen throughout the 40, 30 years since this has happened. Things like the Boondocks. We've seen elements of this movie in the Boondocks. J. Cole music. Just all this stuff. All these different perspectives lived on. And it shows that, yes, these four men had a phenomenal impact on culture. I would say in 2021, and culture in general, not just black culture, but culture in general. And these men were so important. And I don't think we really placed their importance on these men that we thought we did. Because Sam Cooke, phenomenal artist for sure, but how he passed down the importance of owning your masters is incredible. Malcolm X speaks for himself. Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer of all time, but he was more than a boxer. He had complex thoughts. He knew how to sell tickets. From watching professional wrestling, Gorgeous George, you look at someone like Jim Brown, who's like, I'm outspoken, people don't like me, but they can't get rid of me as long as I keep winning football games. But the long-term game is, I can't do this forever. And this window of acting is open. I'm going to go ahead and go through it, which is smart. And I didn't realize how much effect these people had on America as a whole, not just like black culture. Because Jim Brown, I've seen a ton of movies, tons of movies with Jim Brown in them. And I'm like, man, I didn't realize that's Jim Brown. Same thing with Sam Cooke. As soon as I got done with this, I turned off the Carter 2 and I was like, all right, we'll listen to Sam Cooke all day. And that's what I did. That's what I've been doing. And some of the songs, I was like, man, I know the song. I didn't know he sung it, or someone else sings the song. He's phenomenal. Again, Muhammad Ali. I knew a lot about Muhammad Ali, but I didn't know that he hung out with the Beatles. I had to Google that. That's amazing. I love the Beatles. Malcolm X. Since I've seen the Spike Lee film not documentary, biopic about Malcolm X, I knew more of his character. But still in this film, because the directing's so well, you're still invested in his character and you're still on the edge. You're still paranoid with his character in the film, which I think that's a phenomenal piece of directing. But to take all these big personalities and ideas and compact it into a film that's basically conversation throughout the entire film. It takes place in a few different locations, but it's mainly a film about a conversation about what is black excellence. And what I like about this film is it shows very different perspectives and shows their weights. And they all weigh the same, just different viewpoints holds them higher and whatnot. And at like Malcolm X, no pork, alcohol, women, sinful things, and just holds different values to them. And I love that because that's life, especially now in 2020. This movie speaks, 2021, I should say. This movie speaks incredible volumes because we still have these same problems today, as I mentioned before. Not just their teachings and their thought processes and ideas were passed down, but these issues that they were fighting then are still happening now. And as a culture, not just black people, white people, Spanish people, Asian people who are at these rallies protesting, there's certain ways to do things, and to some people, there's certain ways not to do things. And we have these issues all the time. So to have a conversation from, I'm going to say, the 60s, 70s, to bring that to today and make it all relevant again is just incredible. But enough about the writing, because I've just talked 9 minutes about the writing, or however long I've been talking about it. The writing is phenomenal. The acting in this film is incredible. Each character makes me as an audience member, I'm sure you at home as well, like them because they're such big personalities and yet so different. And the actors did an incredible job portraying these iconic people of history. I think it goes beyond celebrity status for obviously Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali, because as a culture we've seen no one really go in their areas, except like maybe a Mike Tyson, maybe a Floyd Mayweather. But like there's been thousands of excellent football players, thousands of great musicians, even though they were still like very high up there. We've seen a lot of those before and after. So I love how it focused on them, and those two performances of Jim Brown and Sam Cooke really stood out the most to me. Obviously, Muhammad Ali is such a big personality, or Cassius Clay as he's known as in this film. Such big personalities that they have their moments, but they're more in the background, and they're teaching you more of Sam Cooke or Jim Brown, which I really appreciate that because these actors knock these performances out the park. There's not a bad casting in the film. There's no bad casting at all.
That there's impressive.
Just from their conversations, and I know the writing is a huge part of that, but just in their conversations, it gets you so invested. You feel like you're in the room with these four men, and you're just a fly on the wall, which also lends to the directing of the film, which is excellent. You get a ton of beautiful shots. The cinematographer knocked himself out with this film. Incredible shots throughout. And as a director, he really puts you in there to make you feel like you are a fly on the wall. Pace and get out where you're not on the subject too long. You're not with these two characters too long. You getting just enough. And then when you get more of it later, because you go to two other characters and hear their thoughts, their opinions on things, when you come back, it's still fresh. And to have this film hit so many issues of importance and to make them all feel fresh again, I thought was incredible. And just by the directing, again, keeping you invested with shots, pacing was remarkable, incredible, phenomenal. There's so many good words to describe this movie because everything in it so well. But the reason why I gave it a 9.7 is because the investment is almost there. There's no one to really hate in this movie, and I think when you hate someone, you can invest in it more. But it's still an incredible feat to get you invested in 4 characters equally. Some more than, I won't say equally, some more than others. Obviously, me and my love for music and everything outside of music that affects it is very interesting to me. So Sam Cooke stood out head and shoulders above everyone else to me. I was very invested in his character. But just to take that, it brings it to a very high level of investment. But with there being no one to really outright hate, it doesn't put you over the top where you're on the edge of your seat and you're fighting. You feel like you're with the characters fighting. So because I was very invested in this film, but not as invested as I was in other films this year, like The Trial of the Chicago 7, for instance, a very passionate movie where I feel like I didn't get the same amount. So I can't justify putting this film as a 10 out of 10 film, even though it's a spectacular film. Everything in this film is damn near perfect, if it's not perfect. So with that being said, this movie gets a high score for Strange Wang, and it is a 9.7 out of 10 Wangs. Tell me what you thought about this movie down in the comment section below. Did you Google all the characters and what they did in real life afterwards like Strange Wang did? Tell me down below. Sorry, I've been talking for 15 minutes, the camera says. So, tell me that down below. Scroll back up, hit the like button, share the video. And subscribe.